You good now, Jason? Good morning. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome to the regular board meeting for the Oceana County Board of Commissioners for June 12, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to do a roll call, please.
Mr. Beggs.
Here.
Mr. McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mr. Erickson.
Here.
Mr. Walker.
Here. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from May 22nd, 2025, please?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Mr. McCormick. Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Support by Mr. Hardy. Are there any questions or concerns of the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of approving them as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Conflict of interest disclosure regarding the agenda items. Do any board members have a conflict of interest? Hearing none, are there any changes to the agenda?
Quick question, Mr. Walker. Are we going to, no action on the voluntary AFLAC?
We are going to take no action on a voluntary AFLAC, and we are going to take no action on the jury board replacement. Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Are there any other changes to the agenda? A motion to approve the agenda with the two changes, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Do we have a support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Beggs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any public comments at this time? Hearing none. Mr. Hardy, equalization service contract.
Yes, Mr. Walker, motion 2025-65 to approve a contract with V&V assessing for equalization services in the amount of $277,800 annually for a period of 3 years and allow the chair to sign. Support.
Moved by Mr. Hardy, support by Mr. Erickson. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes.
Mr. Erickson.
Yes.
Mr. Beggs.
Yes.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes. Thank you, board members. Mr. Beggs, MGT service agreement.
I'd like to make a motion 2025-68 to enter into an agreement with MGT Impact Solutions for the purpose of Title 4-D Cooperative Reimbursement Claim Services for the friend of the court and prosecuting attorney, and allow the chair to sign.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Do we have a support?
Support.
Support by Mr. McCormick. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Beggs.
Yes.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
Mr. Erickson.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes. The next item, the jury board replacement, we'll have at our next meeting. Mr. Erickson, memorial bench.
Mr. Walker, I make motion 2025-70 to allow the placement of a memorial bench in honor of Mr. Mitch Johnson by his family in the courthouse grounds for his 42 years of service as a circuit court recorder for Oceana County.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Support by Mr. Hardy. Any discussion? Just as a note that the building committee will work with the county administrator on a location for it.
It's pretty neat. Mitch was pretty good.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Erickson.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes.
Mr. Beggs.
Yes.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
And Mr. Walker.
Yes, and the voluntary benefits we're gonna take up at the next meeting also. Mr. Hardy, payment of claims.
Yes, Mr. Walker, I ask for board approval of accounts payable and release of funds for June 12th, 2025. Ambulance fund total $1,899.61. FOC fund $2,358.61. Pentwater Heart Trail Fund, $611.25. Automation ROD Fund, $2,593.06. Indigent Defense Fund total, $33,096.73. Canine Unit Fund, $333.98. Department of Veterans Affairs, $11,282.12. Technology and Innovation Fund, $5,616.66. Public Improvement Fund, $151,662.99. Building Department Fund, $37,050.37. General Fund total of $569,054.83, for a grand total of $15,560.21.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Do we have a support?
Support.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, a roll call, please.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mr. Erickson,
Yes.
Mr. Beggs,
Yes.
Mr. McCormick,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes, thank you. Reports from the commissioners. Mr. McCormick.
Michigan Works meeting over in Iowell, last week. They talked about some of their funding issues, which, they sounded like they felt like they were in a lot better position this meeting than they were the last. They did get some funding canceled from federal, but they had some new coming from the state, so sounds like it kind of balanced out. They had a couple of success stories there like they normally do. They bring in a couple people that, you know, got through and were doing well, so, you know, that's interesting. Regarding the transfer station, you know, we decided to terminate the liquids, no more liquids coming to the transfer station. So I see the household hazardous waste is August 16th. So if we're gonna put out, or when we put out a notice for our changes at the transfer station, maybe that would be a good note to add on there so that, you know, make people aware that they have that alternative little place to go. I wonder about, you know, the windows that we did on Griswold Street, where do we stand on that issue? Does anybody know?
I just got a notification yesterday. They have been ordered, and we're waiting for those to come in, so as soon as we hear back.
And it was a portion 8
Yeah.
or 12, or we just did like a quarter of them or something?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There are some of those windows over there, and I remember them on the north side, which is usually the best side. But some of those windows, the glass is pulling away from the sashes.
Yep.
And I think we need to look at the ones that are the worst
Yeah,
and do those.
and I
first.
think we asked Dave to
Take,
determine which ones were the worst and do those, but, so nothing physically has been done yet.
No, he did say that they're waiting for the windows to come in, and as soon as that happens, they can, schedule the installation.
Brought them along.
Yes, of course.
Winter's coming.
Exactly.
during,
You never know.
during the pandemic, they were 16 to 18 weeks, but I don't think it's that way anymore.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned the transfer station, and we've been talking about it a little bit, and I know that, I was not here at the meeting, at the last meeting, and there was discussion about the amount of mattresses. Somebody said, limiting it to 2, somebody else said limiting it to 4, so there was kind of a little bit of a question there. We haven't done anything with those, and, I was talking with someone about the fee schedule, because that was something else that was discussed about the fee schedule as it relates to the mattresses, and, my thought was, do you want that changed when the board decides to make any changes to the fee schedule at that time, or do you want them changed now? How do you wanna go about?
The other thing that we talked about to go along with that, to get our scale started, it's gonna be a little traffic issue to get everybody trained. But I think in the interim, to gather information for ourselves and to get the public aware of what's happening, is if we came up with a ton rate and we say any dump trailer coming in goes across the scale in, scale out, and not worry about the other people for now, but at least that would get the ball rolling, and that would put the word out on what the charge is. And it's not hard to identify. Dump trailer, you're going across the scale. You got 50 pounds or 5,000 pounds, you're going across the scale. And then, like Tracy said on the mattresses, that's just a steady drain on the pocketbook right now, the way we're doing it. So I think it's something we ought to address sooner rather than later. Change the rate on the mattresses, get the ton rate on those dump trailers, and put the word out.
Question, if we get the rate set right where mattresses aren't a loser, do we still need a limit? I'm just curious, because if we're turning mattresses away, the chances of seeing mattresses dumped out in the forest or.
That's a thought.
That was our big concern. Dave Schmeeding was there at that meeting, and they find, because it's Ferry Township, that they're, and we see it in Crystal, we see it in Elbridge, you know, seasonal roads are
I think if you have the cost covered,
That's a good point.
then
well.
Right now, what I asked, and Tracy put that, maybe it's in the email, but, the way we're handling the mattresses right now, what we're trying is, we're putting 4 in the bottom of every tub. When they switch them out, we got an empty tub, we lay 4 of them flat in the bottom, we stack in the top. And I think if we put 4 in every tub, I think we have 6 tubs, we're shipping 24 every round, as long as we keep the staff on it and doing it every time.
I guess
That pile's gonna go down,
what
and
I'm thinking.
maybe that won't be, the number maybe is not a problem.
Yeah, if you have a commercial retail operation that's dumping mattresses out there.
That's what we talked about, they're coming from other places.
Right.
Well, it could be a migrant camp that's,
Perfect.
I mean,
Yes.
so there's reasonable situations where there could be a dozen or 24 mattresses that come in on a load.
I think that's a good thought. I think maybe we ought to do that, change the price and let the number
Well, the
ride.
other
If it's
thing
still
would
a
be-
problem, then we could think about it.
What might slow the commercial side of it is if you keep the limits and raise the price. And then, 'cause residential people aren't gonna drop 6 mattresses, and if it happens to be a camp or something like that, have them make a few trips.
They gotta make a couple trips.
But that would stop the commercial operations from coming in with 20. Because then it's not whether the cost is covered, it's the handling involved with it and everything else. But,
Yep.
I would keep your rate and just raise the price and.
Yeah, they're not horrible to handle as long as they haven't been rained on.
Right. But I think
that's-
that might be a way to mitigate the commercialized side of it. That's my opinion. Anyway. Keep the rate, raise the rate and keep the max the same. Gonna kill 2 birds.
We don't have any quantity now. I mean, they can bring
Should
in
be.
20, but, so are you saying it should be 4? Raise the rate and make it
Raise the rate,
4?
make it 4 max. 'Cause most of the time it's gonna be 1 or 2.
How are we doing for getting the credit card out there, credit card machine?
Well, we discussed that a little bit about, because we have to have internet. And Amy, from IT was working on, internet, which she suggested, a hotspot. And then we were talking with American Classic about that and wondering if we're putting in a credit card machine out there, shouldn't that be,
You don't want a hotspot.
No, right, well, so then we'd have to look at another internet, but we don't want the credit card under us if they end up taking it over, correct?
I think it's okay, I don't think it's that big a deal to switch it, I
It's
would get
not.
it set up so we're running and then they can switch it
Because
over.
if somebody comes in with 4 mattresses and we raise that up to $30 a piece, and they gotta have $120, they're not gonna have that.
Well, not only that, the dump trailer is gonna be, you know, 350 or 400.
Couple things here. I agree totally with what you're saying, but, we need to limit the amount of mattresses. We need to raise the price on mattresses. I'd like to see us do that at our next meeting.
Yeah.
You know, just have a formal motion and take care of that, and if there's anything else that comes up at the same time. When we get ready with that scale going in, we need to start working now on directional signs for the scales. And the people with not only dump trailers, but with pickups full of stuff are gonna have to scan, and trucks are gonna have to scale across too. Because they'll start bringing shingles in the back of their pickups and everything.
Right.
So the only ones that shouldn't have to go across the scale is, somebody with a limited amount of household garbage. And, you know, we can do signs for that, you know, bag garbage, you know, just go around the scale and the rest of the people go over the scale and we charge them that way. We're gonna have to work, and I'm doing this based on what I've seen at Waste Management knows how to do these things. And also, Tracy, would you call Emmett County in Petoskey? Because the Petoskey has Emmett County has one of the best recycling and transfer stations in the state of Michigan. And I'm reasonably sure that they scale everything across. And just ask their administrator if we can get a copy of their fees, you know, for that. And if they don't, find out who the carrier is. I know that there were several people from the previous board that went up to Emmett County and looked at that, it might have just been Bob Sobey, went up and looked at that, and he said it was a pretty impressive setup. Let's see, I think I've got it right with Emmett County. But
Did we get a fee schedule from American Classic? For one of
I
their-
actually I made a, change from, I talked to them about the fees, and I made, in a different column, I put where the changes would be. And I can share that with the rest of the board if you'd like to see what that looks like.
but let's not limit scale only to trailers.
No, I think that's pickup trucks,
But I
not
think
just
Mr.
dump
McCormick
trailers.
was talking about in the spin up period.
Okay.
To get, just to limit the traffic jam to get staff trained on.
Well, but even pickups that pull in,
What we talked about, you see, is to totally use the scale, we need to get the guard shack out of the front. We need dirt moved, gravel put down,
Yep.
debris cleaned up. The scale, we could plug in an extension cord and use the scale
Okay.
today.
Well, it do,
And so if we're gonna do what we're talking about with the whole facility is what I think we should do is shut the whole thing down for a month. Clean up, get the roads, get the signs, everything is staged and we're running. But then we're totally brand new with the scale. Nobody knows what's going on with the scale. So my thought is we could get the scale underway and get a little experience with it. The word would get out and we might start reducing those dump trailers when they start paying the full rate. And, then we can do the whole process at one time, or we can just leave it run the way it is and do it all at once.
well, I like the idea of the trailers, you know, going across, but I think if somebody pulls in with a stake truck.
Well,
that's something-
the thing about, you think about those guys coming with a pickup or a flatbed truck, that's hand unload. That's not what they wanna do. They wanna hoist it and drive away. So I don't think you're gonna get a lot of big stuff coming that they're gonna hand unload.
Except the homeowners.
Yeah,
but I still.
but if it's a homeowner, that's okay. It's the contractors that are costing.
But for
big
the
money.
time it takes to drive the pickup across there, depending You know, I mean, if it's got 2 bags of garbage in it, one thing, but if it's got
Yeah,
a load of stuff.
it's
that's
just the
done-
traffic setup. If we put too many across the scale,
Yeah.
we're gonna get jammed up with the traffic because we're not prepared to handle it.
Do the dump trailers first, and if we find we have time to bring
Yeah.
to do the other ones a couple weeks down the line, then we'll start the other ones.
It's not to say they couldn't pick any one of them and say, hey, you're going across the scale, you know?
True. I mean, you got tilt flatbeds.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. We could just say, you know, it could be their discretion if they feel like they wanna scale a guy, scale.
I've got my scale
true.
ticket from Waste Management in my truck. Before I leave today, I'll bring it back inside, give it to the administrator.
Are we talking this in the spin-up period or overall? Like,
When we're up and running after everything is, we're cleaned up and we're running, then I think everything goes across the scale unless it's 2 bags of
Yeah.
trash.
okay, agreed.
But otherwise,
Yeah.
if you come in with a truck that just scale in, scale out, then, you know, it just eliminates.
But Joel, you might have a good idea with closing it down for a period to get everything.
I think that's kind of what, there's just so much to do and it's gonna be awful hard to operate and do that
Yeah,
at the
while
same
you're
time.
trying to,
Well,
Yeah.
that's, Jake said, you know, it would take him days and he'd have to bring a dozen men over to even think about this. There's a lot of earth that's gotta be moved to get access to the scale on the.
so it would be a
Go
good
in.
idea to figure out what that might be so you can get it published.
Yeah.
What Jake and Paul and the group that was out there, I think we're saying the last of August and we're down for the month of September.
Yeah, the cottage, you know, summer will be.
Not to say that, you know, if we get it done in 3 weeks, we can open for
Sure.
business.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good
just
idea.
put the notice out there.
For now, I totally agree. Let's get up so we can run dump trailers across there. But, Tracy, ask Amy to keep in mind that if we have a problem getting conductivity out there, to consider going to Skylink.
Oh, sure.
Pardon me? Skylink is
Yeah.
$120 a month,
Right, you're done.
and it's right there.
That's a good idea.
And the only reason I know that is because my son, who's the software architect, when the power went down in Ottawa County, they said the power would be down for a week after the last storm. Well, he has a standby generator, but Charter said, or Spectrum said that the internet was gonna be down for 2 to 3 weeks. He can't work without it. So he went down and to Home Depot and got Skylink, and he's got he only pays with the months he uses it. But it's $120 a month, and you set a receiver up there and they zero in themselves to the satellites,
You don't have any cabling or anything else, so.
you know,
That sounds like a good alternative.
I have one available,
what, Skylink,
Starlink,
yeah,
yeah, I've got one,
and they
we're
work.
not using it anymore, but,
But what I'm saying
yeah,
is,
they're good.
you know, if there's gonna be a delay in getting it in,
I don't know if there's any issue with the credit card company with that. Going through.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Starlink,
I don't think they
kinda
would
know.
care. I mean, as long as you get internet access, you're,
That's encrypted
yeah.
well,
transmission.
let's just work,
Yeah.
let's work forward.
It's a good idea.
That's enough to, you know, at one time, so.
Okay.
What do
I
you,
believe, did Chris from Ferry Township state that,
It's,
yeah, that they have, Great Lakes out there?
Yeah,
well,
well, the ambulance building's just.
right across the
Yeah.
road,
So,
right across the road they have it.
Right.
yeah, so I don't know why they wouldn't just bring it right in there, but like you say, if it's gonna be a long delay to get it, then use that wireless.
So I will get with Amy about that and we'll see.
Yeah, so, yeah, we need to get that going because I think we'd have trouble running the scale with cash because
Oh, yeah,
the number's gonna get up too high. So the other thing with that, is how does the board wanna move forward with Classic?
From my personal thoughts, I think we still need to be in a discussion with them. We need to be in a discussion with them on how we're gonna lay out the traffic there, because they do that at Croton Dam. And if they're interested in coming, the contract that, they sent is not gonna work. And I have a bunch of, has everybody seen the initial contract that they sent out? Forward that to everybody, would you? And one of the things that, if you would, please.
Sure.
One of the things that we need, that needs to be in that contract, if American Classic is gonna run any commercial operations out of that location, they have to have prior approval from Ferry Township to do it. Because they have talked about wanting to stage dumpsters and things up there, and if they're gonna do any of that at all, you know, I think we need to remove that. It doesn't, we don't need to give them permission, but I think they have to have prior approval from Ferry Township. And there's several other things in there that they talk about before they start up, that the county will pay for this and the county will pay for that, and on and on and on. One of the things that they want the county to pay for is any, changes to the location or excavating or anything before they take over. They want the county to pay for all of that. I don't think the county should pay for, excavating if they're gonna use it for a commercial enterprise. They need to pay for that. So,
I think what he's referring to there is that road off the end of the scale.
yeah,
And then where we have that oil storage right now, we're talking about eliminating that and just widen that driveway out.
well, you,
I think that's the couple items that he was,
and probably, let's clarify it. And everybody take a look at it, just make notes and get them all back and,
Pick it apart.
pick it apart.
so, let's put a date on that so that we keep this moving forward.
That's by
So-
by the end of June, get everything back, get your stuff back to the administrator.
And then, we can have Tracy make the changes that we're looking at and forward to them and get their response on it.
Does that give everybody?
Because if we're talking-
It's about
if-
6 pages.
If we're talking that we wanna shut down the end of August and do this changeover cleanup thing, we don't have much time to make a decision and get the public notified that this is coming.
It was very good when you met out there to have the township supervisor and clerk there.
Yeah,
That was
they're
very
in
wise,
favor.
very wise to have them there. Anything else for us, Joe?
That's all I have.
Paul?
Yeah, a couple things. We were talking about the drain commissioner too, and at Parks meeting, I noticed that there was water up at Black Lake and pretty wet. And the drain commissioner's office told me that they had been out there cleaning the Hager Drain in Walkerville out in Colfax, and there was a large beaver dam in that drain. It's a huge drain. The Hager Drain was my granny's uncle Jake Hager built that drain, you know, at the turn of the century. It carries a lot of water, and one big beaver dam raised the level of Black Lake up quite a bit. But that's our drain office at work, and they were removing that beaver. Water Red Barn, it'll come before us, I'm sure it will. I've been talking with Bumstead's office, Molinar's office, and looking for right now a public entity that would take the responsibility to get the building weathered in, looking for a transition and ownership of that property. We do have a gentleman that's interested in a real estate trade on that right now, so I am waiting, but I may come back to this board and ask for the board, county parks, to take a leading role in transferring the property back to either Weir Township or a public entity that would be willing to do that. We've got about $9,000 in the Community Foundation Fund for repairs necessary to the Red Barn to get the thing weathered in. But those talks are ongoing. Larry Dorn of Weir Township, Lynn Cavazos, Skywater Township have been discussing this at length. So there'll be more there to develop. Asparagus Festival weekend. Tomorrow we have a kickoff party. The fairgrounds are going to have live entertainment and a beer tent. And then Saturday is the Asparagus Festival parade is coming up. So yeah, a lot of busyness going on right now. But that's, I thank you for the transfer station. That really made me feel better, Joel, that you and Bob were there and we can get a grip on it. You know,
We'll get it lined up.
yeah, and Safety Clean to have them come and give us that manifest for removing all that from the ground is wonderful. It's about time. I went around to the back.
So
We've had an ongoing mess for a long time.
it's only been 15 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Erickson. Mr. Beggs?
Couple things from the VA board, just to kind of give them some kudos. Our VSOs, Jody and Sam, have been asked. The region is headquartered in Kalamazoo. It's pretty much the whole west side of the Lower Peninsula. I don't know, it's a big area. They're getting attention for the work that they're doing and have been asked to kind of present some of their just some of their ideas and some of the work that they've been doing for the whole group. And so that's it's a pretty exciting accomplishment to just be recognized, little Oceana County making waves in the big sea. So kind of cool. Also, they shared a document, and I can't remember the exact numbers, of cumulative income from their work to get veterans their deserved benefits over the last 4 years, I think, and it was upwards and over $5 million in the last, it's cumulative, and it increases each year, and the more work they do, the bigger that number gets. But it's pretty eye-opening to see just the work that they're doing in support of our local veterans and having an impact for the organization across West Michigan. So exciting to see the space that we were able to free up for them by moving buildings inspector's office out. Has been utilized really well. Their food pantry, which is where Jody's office used to be, is wonderful. They've got a very large upright freezer in there, a refrigerator, shelves for dry goods and whatnot, and so they're working on filling those shelves up to just have emergent need food there for veterans. So they've settled into those offices nicely and being utilized well. I think that's probably about it.
How many veterans do we have in Oceana County? You know,
I don't know
any
the answer to
idea?
that.
We got that answer, though.
You know, Paul would be the only other one that was probably aware of this, but the first year I was on the board, when we started the concept of Veterans Board, and we had the Soldier and Sailors Relief Fund before that, when we went to this. I went to several of the service organizations, being the new kid on the block, and talked to them. And once we got the legislation passed, and after we got to some of the members of the board that were there, maybe not there for the total right reason, and we got the members of the board that were dedicated to having a VSO that was, and then we got Jody to come in to work for us. The Veterans Organization is a shining star of a success story for Oceana County. And I think that it's something that I'm very proud that I was able to be a very small part in bringing that up to a whole of the people. But they do a great job. Not only the money they bring in, but the service they provide. Mr. Hardy?
Just a quick note, and it's probably all over by now, but the Limited Access Dune community had a public forum today from starting at 10 a.m. Again, I think it was mentioned earlier that the sheriff and undersheriff were out there, as long as the 911 director, Ray Hassel, and our frequent guest, Gary McKean, was also there speaking. They gave several presentations from the DNR, emergency, and again, this was emergency access and egress from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, and also an incident review, which is probably, and I don't know if you guys knew, they had a pretty good sized house fire north of us. on the dunes and
June
beach.
Drive.
Yeah,
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, water troubles.
so I know that 911 is actively working on helping improve the communication from those limited areas and, well,
June Drive shouldn't have had a real difficult problem with the 800 megahertz. It's
No,
right behind Mac Woods is where
Yeah.
that happened.
yeah, but this was one that was on a different county. I want to say it was Manistee County or,
No, that was Sunset Boulevard from Bass Lake, where you
okay,
make the left-hand turn to go down
Right.
Montgomery Boulevard.
Yep.
It was,
Montgomery Boulevard.
it was the opposite direction. That's a dead-end street, and
Yeah.
on the end of that is where, Pollock, Lana Pollock and her husband built, he was a Nobel Prize winner along with Al Gore for global warming. They built a house on the last end, but that road closes right off with drifting from the sand dune every winter. And there's 5 houses and the road is about wide enough to get a pickup in.
Wow.
UPS doesn't even drive down in there.
Mm.
So, they're visible, but they're,
Yeah, the fire out behind Mac Woods, I think they had 6 departments. Or 7.
We
And they were
saw-
running to
we
Hart
saw-
for water.
Yeah, they were,
They were in the Hart Industrial Park pumping water, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize that was the
And
only
using our
hydrant. The
And
closest
using our
hydrant.
new well, you know, we've got
Yeah.
a new well at the substation.
Yeah.
And they were pumping out of the lake. Water issues.
Anyway, that's all I have.
so thank you. The only thing that I wanna mention to my fellow commissioners is, July 3rd, if you so desire to mark on your calendars, Roy Strait is retiring from, New Era Police Department as a chief. It will be his 88th birthday, and it'll be 61 years that he has been a law enforcement officer in the state of Michigan.
Wow.
But Roy finally decided to retire, and they're gonna have, open house for him at the Avenue across from Myers Chevrolet. Craig, I know you and Tim know Roy well.
Oh, yeah.
From being on the reserve, and, you know, if you don't see the flyers, just pass it around, they're going to be
Will
happy.
do.
So, thank you, board members, for a great meeting today. Yeah.
Thank you, Janet.
Do we have any, do we have any, do we have any public comments? Thank you for being here. We can stand adjourned then.
Great.
Tracy, thank you.
She's gonna get an attendance award just like